चक्षुरुन्मिलितं सहगना ललितां श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त नामिने सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरत्वसे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। तो क्या एसी लगाएंगे फैन लगाएंगे? चाहे तो वो फैन लगा सकते हैं, नहीं तो क्या है, फैन लगाएंगे तो जिनको एसी नहीं चाहिए उनको तकलीफ नहीं। अच्छा ठीक है, ठीक है। ठीक है, तो कल क्या डिस्कस किया था? ओके, वन थिंग वी डिस्कस अबाउट एनवी। ओके, कॉज कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस एंड सॉल्यूशन। देखो वो क्या हो गया वहाँ पे। हाँ, सारग्राही, यस। देन okay, who's liberated?
We had seen how Indra took different forms of sannyasi,
Bogus sannyas.
bogus sannyasis to
Mm.
stole the hearts, and how he introduced a religious system among that.
Right. So then, so therefore,
Power of mantra also we have seen that Brahma said, we'll chant mantra so that
Indra will be dragged into the fire and killed. So at that time, who came?
Brahma.
Yes, Brahmaji came. So now let's proceed what Brahma says. So text 29. When they were just ready to put the oblation in the fire, Lord Brahma appeared on the scene and forbade them to start the sacrifice. Text 30. न बध्यो भवतामिन्द्रो यद्यज्ञो भवत तनु यं जिगांसत यज्ञेन यस्येष्टस्तनवसुरा. Lord Brahma addressed them thus: My dear sacrificial performers, you cannot kill Indra, the king of heaven. It is not your duty. You should know that Indra is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indeed, he is one of the most powerful assistants of the personality of Godhead. You are trying to satisfy all the demigods by the performance of this yajna. But you should know that all these demigods are but parts and parcels of Indra, the king of heaven. How then can you kill him in this great sacrifice? So Brahma is giving explanation why Indra should not be killed. Because through yajna they're trying to satisfy devatas, and Indra is king of the devatas. So then how can they kill Indra? So he says it's not your duty. It is not your duty, not your business. Hmm. Na vadhya bhavatam Indra. You cannot kill Indra. Okay, 31. Tamidam pashatamaha dharma vyatikaram dvija indrenanushtitam ragya karme tad vijigham sata. In order to make trouble and impede the performance of King Prithu's great sacrifice, King Indra has adopted some means that in the future will destroy the clear path of religious life. I draw your attention to this fact. If you oppose him any further, he will further misuse his power and introduce many other irreligious systems. So he's already introduced many, and if you continue like this, he'll introduce more, because he is determined to steal the horse and stop the sacrifice. 32. Pritu kirte pritor bhuya tarye kona shatakratu alam te kratubhi svishter yad bhavan moksha dharma vet. Let there be only 99 sacrificial performances for Maharaj Prithu, Lord Brahma concluded. Lord Brahma then turned towards Maharaj Prithu and informed him that since he was thoroughly aware of the path of liberation, what was the use in performing more sacrifices? No use. So, sacrifice is not required for liberation. So, therefore, he said, what's the use of sacrifice? No. Be satisfied with 99. Purport. Lord Brahma came down to pacify King Prithu regarding his continual performance of 100 sacrifices. King Prithu was determined to perform 100 sacrifices. King Indra took this very seriously because Indra himself was known as the performer of 100 sacrifices, Shatakratu. Just as it is the nature of all living entities within this material world to become envious of their competitors, King Indra, although king of heaven, was also envious of King Prithu and therefore wanted to stop him from performing 100 sacrifices. Actually, there was great competition, and King Indra, to satisfy his senses, began to invent so many irreligious systems to obstruct King Prithu. To stop these irreligious inventions, Lord Brahma personally appeared in the sacrificial arena. As far as Maharaj Prithu was concerned, he was a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it was not necessary for him to perform the prescribed Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. For what was he performing? Why was he performing? Yes, for the welfare of the citizens, to set example to the citizens. So that's the main reason. As far as Prithu Maharaj was concerned, he was a great devotee, therefore it was not necessary for him to perform. Such ceremonies are known as karma, and there is no need for a devotee in the transcendental position to execute them. As the ideal king, however, it was King Prithu's duty to perform sacrifices. A compromise was therefore to be worked out. By the blessings of Lord Brahma, King Prithu would become more famous than King Indra. Thus, Prithu's determination to perform 100 sacrifices was indirectly fulfilled by the blessings of Lord Brahma. So this is coming from the Acharya's commentaries. So, by the blessings of Lord Brahma, King Prithu would become more famous than King Indra. So here, okay, let's finish what Lord Brahma says. 33. Nevatmane Mahendraya Rosham Mahartum Arhasi Ubhavapi hi Badram te Uttama Shloka Vigraho. Lord Brahma continued, let there be good fortune to both of you. For you and King Indra are both part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you should not be angry with King Indra, who is not different from you. Isn't both of you are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord? In one sense, both are non-different. Na eva atmane. So therefore, he's saying, give up your rosham, your anger, and ubhav apihi bhadram te. Okay, let there be good fortune for both of you. Okay. 34. Masmen maharaja krita smachintam nisha mayasmad vacha adritatma yadhyayato deva hatam nukartum Mano tirushtam vishate tamondham. Now, Lord Brahma is giving very good advice to Prithu Maharaj. My dear king, do not be agitated and anxious because your sacrifices have not been properly executed due to providential impediments. Kindly take my words with great respect. We should always remember, this is for not only Maharaj Prithu, Lord Brahma is telling for everyone. We should always remember that if something happens by providential arrangement, we should not be very sorry. The more we try to rectify such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest region of materialistic thought. Purport. Sometimes a saintly or very religious person also has to meet with reversals in life. Such incidents should be taken as providential. Although there may be sufficient cause for being unhappy, one should avoid counteracting such reversals. For the more we become implicated in rectifying such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest regions of material anxiety. Lord Krishna has also advised us in this connection we should tolerate things instead of becoming agitated. Okay. So Brahma is going to speak some more philosophy, but here is an important point. So first of all, Lord Brahma, he gave instruction. Stop. Be satisfied with 99. And after giving the instruction, he is giving a whole philosophical explanation why he should follow the instruction. So this is a good lesson for us. When we give instruction, we should always back it up with philosophy. Then other person will be convinced, no, why he should follow the instruction. So that is the meaning of education and training. So then people will understand why they should follow the process, why they should follow the instructions. Otherwise, the rebellious mind always tends to say, why should I follow? So then, when some philosophical explanation is given, then at least theoretically they'll be able to understand the benefits of following. So, therefore, you can see Brahma not only gave an instruction, but he's giving philosophical explanation. Because it's a very difficult instruction to follow. Just imagine. He has made so many arrangements for this Ashwamedh sacrifice. We can't even imagine how many arrangements must have been made. There's no description, but we can have some idea. How much of money, how much of wealth, how many brahmanas involved, and so on and so forth. Such an elaborate arrangement. And he's already done 99. Just one remaining. And Brahma is coming and telling you, stop, enough, be satisfied with 99. If we put ourselves in that situation, तो सबका अनुभव है ना. I'm sure everyone has some experience like this. If not, very soon it will come. Because practically everyone has to go through some experience like this, where one's detachment will be tested. So, somebody is at the peak of his career, devotional career, doing some service very wonderfully. Uh, then some mistake happens and somebody says, Bas ho gaya, both ho gaya. Now move on to some other service. Uh, In fact, just before coming for the class, one brahmachari from some other temple, um, I know him, so he called and he was telling that little problem, and so the temple authorities have told him to stop his flourishing grihastha preaching. So he's agitated. How can I stop? I've done so wonderful preaching, so many people. How can I give up? I have to hand them over to somebody else. So I just told him, follow and be peaceful, that's all. But you see, when such an instruction is given, immediately there's so much of rebellion, so much of agitation in the mind. How can I do this? How can I give up? I've done so much. But then here Brahma is giving a very important advice in this 34th verse. And is giving a reason why one should not be agitated. Ma asmin maharaja krita sma chintam nishamaya asmat vacha. Please consider my words. Please consider my words. Adrita atma. With adar, with respect, you consider my words. This is no ordinary person speaking. This is Brahma. But still, Prithumar is also elevated, so therefore he is telling him, you consider my words. Yad dhyayata deva hatam. So he's saying all this is due to what? Deva. This is due to providence. This is providence, this is the plan of the Lord. So, ultimately everything happens by the plan of the Lord. Can anything happen without the plan of the Lord? So if something is happening by the plan of the Lord, then why should we be agitated? The problem is what? We cannot see it as the plan of the Lord. That is the problem. Because that's a very high realization to see everything as the plan of the Lord. So, but if we understand it's a plan of the Lord, then it is all perfect. So if it is perfect, then why should I be agitated? So well-known famous statement we repeated many times from the invocation, Ishopanishad invocation purport. What? Huh? No, that is Krishna book. We are talking about Ishopanishad. Bolo. Good. At least you got the essence. But these sentences are worth remembering. What? Repeat. All forms of incompleteness are due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. So all forms of incompleteness. That means we think, oh, this is incomplete, this is wrong, this is right. So we see so much incompleteness, right? So many flaws. We think, oh, mistakes are happening. Mistakes are happening. He is committing mistake, he is committing mistake, he is committing mistake. Except me, everyone is committing mistakes. हम सोचते हैं ना वैसे. But all this is due to what? Yes, our incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. So you just have to understand what? Bhuktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is controlling everything, everyone. We're all being controlled. Okay, somebody may say, okay, he's in full control, but maybe he's like a dictator. बहुत क्रूर व्यक्ति है, इसलिए बहुत तकलीफ देते हैं. But next what he says? Suridam sarvabhutanam. So if he's Surit, then can he give trouble? No, he cannot give trouble. So therefore, if we just understand that one verse, what will be the result? Shanti. If we just understand one verse, one can be totally peaceful. That's exactly what Lord Brahma is saying here. He's saying all this is due to Deva. This is all due to higher powers which are controlling everyone and everything in this world. So just like in the recent AI-171 plane crash, so everyone was finished except seat 11A. How? So even the people were the newspapers and everyone was saying miracle, miracle. Yes, it's a miracle, but can anyone do that miracle? How that one person survived? Everyone was finished except one. So we have to understand. And you may have heard of one lady who came late. And we read. So there was one lady who reached the airport not too late, but about 10-20 minutes late. And due to traffic, she got caught up in the traffic, so she landed late. She came late. And she was pleading with those airport people, please, please, please. No, it's not just a domestic flight, it's an international flight. That means big amount of money. So she was pleading. They said, sorry. Gates closed. definitely disappointed. She had come with her parents and they were returning home. And they were still on the way to their home, and they got the news that and so all the newspaper reporters, everyone was asking them, so how did you feel? How did you So the parents said, definitely we thought us very fortunate, very fortunate. Our daughter was saved. Who's controlling? Huh? So one has to come to this understanding that I am not in control. There are higher powers in control. So if one understands this, one can be peaceful. At least not so agitated, because we are still in the conditioned state. Some agitation may be there. But if we understand this philosophy, at least we won't be too agitated. We understand, okay, Krishna has a plan. Krishna has some plan. I cannot understand the plan, but definitely there's a plan. And what Bhishma Dev says in that connection? First canto, 9th chapter. One thing he says is yes, everything is due to Kal. But then who is Kal? Energy of Krishna. So then finally he says, who can understand the plan of the Lord? Even the greatest of philosophers cannot understand. So in that purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that when something unexpected happens due to the force of circumstances, one should simply accept it as the plan of the Lord without grudges. ऐसा नहीं, ऐसा क्यों, ऐसा क्यों? Without grudges, accept. And try to understand, try to see what the Lord wants to teach us through that incident. What He wants to teach. So therefore that's exactly what Lord Brahma is telling. This is all due to Deva, and you cannot counteract it. If you try to counteract it, so therefore he says, Kartum mana atirushtam. If one becomes atirushtam, not just rushtam, atirushtam. If you become very angry and very agitated because this unexpected event has happened, then what will be the result? Vishate tama andam. You will enter into dense darkness. And Srila Prabhupada, right in the translation itself, he clarifies what is that dense darkness? Darkest region of materialistic thoughts. And in the purport he says, yes, the darkest regions of material anxiety. So that is what will happen, right? If one becomes angry, aisa kyun hua, nahi hona chahiye tha, then so much of anger, so much of agitation, so much of anxiety. And then what happens? Then the blame game starts. I didn't do anything wrong. He was responsible. I was simply doing my sacrifice. This foolish Indra, useless fellow, is simply interfering, simply envious, nonsense. So much of agitation, so much of cursing, and one's consciousness gets polluted. And then, if one takes it a little further, actually, we have seen so many of these things happening, unfortunately. We know one case. There was one devotee who was given a service, some managerial service, and there were some problems. So there were some problems, and they told him, see, you give up this service, and you just do preaching and these things. Don't give up this managerial service. But what happened? Attachment. No, how can I give up? I'm not at fault. This, that. This. So much back and forth. Senior devotees are coming and telling him, no, see, this is good for you. Give it up for now. Not ready to accept. Not ready to accept. So that devotee got so agitated. And then, when things go a little too far, then why this is happening? Then most probably what is the reason? Krishna consciousness doesn't work. So much of injustice. That means what? Krishna does not exist. This Krishna consciousness is useless. So he took his beads and gave it back to the spiritual master. This is what happens. Why? Because nothing works, isn't it? Because nothing works according to my plan, so everything is useless. That is what Brahmaji is saying. You'll enter into what? Andatama. So in that case it became literally true. He entered into Andatama, materialistic worlds again. And these cases have happened. I just give one example, but there are quite a good number. It's not just one. Then some leave ISKCON and they do something else. So many things they do. Why? This is the reason. One cannot accept that this is due to higher powers, beyond my control. I cannot expect everything to work according to my control. And see Srila Prabhupada's purport, what is he writing? Sometimes the saintly, not materialistic people, what? Saintly or very religious person, not just religious, what? Very religious person also has to meet with reversals in life. Also. Why also? Because materialistic people anyways meet with so many reversals. But one should not think that just because I have become somewhat saintly, now there should be no reversals. No. Yes, they will also have to meet reversals. And such incidents should be taken. Should be taken, not may be taken, can be taken, should be taken as providential. Although there may be sufficient cause for being unhappy. Sufficient cause, not small cause, sufficient cause for being unhappy. It depends upon how much big reversal it is. But sufficient cause for being unhappy may be there. But in spite of that, what one should do? one should avoid counteracting such reversals. So if we don't accept it as the plan of the Lord and we try to counteract it, then what happens? The more we become implicated in rectifying such reversals, the more we enter into the darkest regions of material anxiety. Because who has created this situation of reversal? Who has created? Krishna has created. The Supreme Lord is orchestrating everything. So can we go against the Supreme Lord? So if we try to go against the Supreme Lord, is it going to be successful? No. It will only result in more and more anxiety. That's all. So therefore, the solution, Prabhupada is giving the ultimate solution. What is that? What is that? Tolerate. Tolerate things instead of becoming agitated. That is the ultimate solution. Tolerate. Tam stitikshasva. These are some very important points for us to understand. Very important. This pastime is very instructive for us. Because this is a very extreme example. Because what Prithu Maharaj was doing is unimaginable for us on such a large scale. So how much of a big project we may have now compared to Prithu Maharaj's project, it is all peanuts. Nothing compared to that. So the Shastra presents very extreme examples. And here is this authority coming and telling, stop it! So there is sufficient cause for becoming unhappy, sufficient cause for rebellion. ये कौन है अथॉरिटी बोलने वाला है, क्या समझता है? Okay, I'll go to another authority. Of course, here Brahma is the topmost person. There's no authority above him. Even if he wanted to complain, above is only Supreme Lord. So, very important. Otherwise, we have seen so many devotees get so agitated, so disturbed, leave the movement, leave devotional service. Find some other Baba, Bapu. So many things people do. And simply what happens? Andha-tama. That is the ultimate result. They enter into the darkest region of ignorance. They unnecessarily spoil their spiritual life. So, we have seen practically we have whatever little experience we have, not much, but we have seen practically no devotees spared actually from going through some experience like this, big or small. Practically no devotees spared. Practically everyone is tested how much one is attached to Krishna and how much one is detached from one's material things. Practically everyone at some point of time will be tested. And so if we have not done the homework of reading the Shastras, contemplating, practicing, purifying ourselves, if one has not done the homework, then when one was put in that situation, then what happens? Agitation. There's, as Brahmaji is saying, what? Atirushtam. Atirushtam. Then one will become very angry and very agitated. Injustice, this, that. So then, as he says, then one will try to counteract it. Because one thinks this is injustice, I'm going to counteract it, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. कुछ होता नहीं, क्योंकि अल्टीमेटली भगवान ही कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं. कुछ भी करे क्या होने वाला है? खुद परेशान होता है और कुछ नहीं होता है. So there's some important points we can learn from this pastime.
Any reversal, if the cause is unknown, then it is very easy to accept, okay, it's Krishna's plan.
Hold on. In this case, was the cause known or unknown?
Unknown.
Huh?
In this case, it's known. That's what my second point was. When the cause is known, इसकी वजह से हुआ ऐसे, फिर तो वो कैसा, वो तो भगवान साइड में अभी तो इसको इधर आ
तो वही प्रॉब्लम है ना. तो वही प्रॉब्लम है. हम इमीडिएट कॉज को देखते हैं, रिमोट कॉज को नहीं देखते हैं. वही समस्या है. वेल नोन स्टेटमेंट, डोंट बिकम एंग्री ऑन द इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ योर कर्मा. हम बहुत बड़ी उदाहरण देते हैं ना, किसने पत्थर मारा, तो हम क्या पूछते हैं? हम पत्थर को डांटते हैं. क्या करते हैं? पत्थर किसने फेंका, तुरंत वो देखते हैं ना. तो पत्थर क्या है? Same principle. This person is only acting as instrument. तो इंस्ट्रूमेंट को डांट के क्या फायदा? कुछ फायदा है? कुछ फायदा? अरे मन की शांति नहीं, अशांति. और अशांत हो जाएंगे. Of course, it's not so easy, agreed. But this is the purpose of this philosophical discussion. This is the purpose. If we learn to accept it, who will be peaceful? I will be peaceful. So, of course, in the practical world, whatever is needful needs to be done. So just like this Burujan Prabhu, he discusses this in the first canto, in the conversation between the bull and Parikshit Maharaj. So in that context he discusses. Because they are also same thing, na? Who is hitting the bull? कली. अभी कली सामने ही है ना, फिर भी परीक्षित महाराज पूछ रहे, who is the cause? And what the bull is saying? Oh, different philosophers say different things, but never pointed out to Kali. So that's also a similar situation. He didn't point out, he didn't blame Kali for the same reason. Because dharma, so he knows dharma. So he's accepting that this Kali is only instrument. So in that context, Burjan Prabhu explains, okay, suppose somebody is coming to hit us. कोई आ रहा है डंडा लेकर मारने के लिए. तो अभी फिलॉसफी को अप्लाई करो. हाँ, he is instrument of Krishna. ओके, आ जाओ, मारो, पिटाई करो. ऐसा करेंगे? हाँ? हाँ? क्यों? Why? So why we should try to protect? It's Krishna's plan, right? You accept Krishna's plan. This man is only an instrument. So why should we make an attempt to protect? No, why? Why you will make your attempt to protect? Why? Right. That's the point. So the body is an instrument to be used in Krishna's service. The body is also not mine. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told? Yes, Sanatana. It is not your property. So therefore this property doesn't belong to me. So therefore I should try to protect it. That's also my duty. So yes, I have to do that duty of trying to protect the body. But in spite of all my attempts, if it fails, yes, then accept Krishna's plan. हाँ ठीक है, अगर वो एक कारण है तो फिर कुछ कर सकते हैं. So that he does not harm other people. If that is the intention, that okay, this fellow is trying to harm me, now tomorrow he may try to harm somebody else. So therefore, let me report it, let me do the needful. So that much has to be done. But ultimately I have to accept it, that yes, this is Krishna's plan. So I can do my best to protect, but I have to accept it as Krishna's plan. So these are some practical things which as devotees, as Prabhupada is writing, saintly persons, very religious persons, they have to undergo some reversals. Then how should we respond? We should be able to do it in a Vaishnava way, as Vaishnavas, and not behave like Vaishnavas. So it's very easy to get into the blame game very soon. इसके वजह से, उसके वजह से, इसके वजह से. But it's better to be a little calm, composed, and think twice. Think twice before getting into the blame game. And think, what does Krishna want to teach me through this incident? Anything else?
Can I add a reflection?
Oh, good. Good.
Just like just the word you were mentioning in a Vaishnava way. So I think 1 year before, His Grace Brajahar Prabhu was mentioning there are two very senior devotees in a position. They are they are best mishap, and they are like, except holding one another collar, there's such a big thing happening. So news came to Prabhuji, and Prabhuji was talking to me. Then I asked, Prabhuji was sharing me this is happening, so senior, and they are doing this kind of thing. There's another way also to act. Then I asked, what is that, Prabhuji? What would you do? Then Prabhuji said, I make them sit and deal with the Vaishnava way. You can handle things in any other way also, but we have to remember that we are Vaishnavas and things can be sorted out in a Vaishnava way. Make them sit and talk rather abusing.
So we cannot get into the Rajasic mode. So therefore, such philosophical discussions are important, so that we remind ourselves of this philosophy. And if we have good spiritual practices, then by the mercy of the Paramatma, then we may remember the philosophy at the right time when it is needed. Then one will be a little more calm and not so agitated. That is the purpose of the philosophy. That is the purpose of this discussion. So that when we are put in that situation, we act appropriately. And not that the philosophy only remains in the book.
It appears as extremism, like accepting the first phase only as a philosophy, accepting is a reversal. Because we have seen in Prabhupada life also when he's preaching in India, he's done his all endeavors to preach in India. And later we see where we are staying in Juhu, Mumbai. This temple is not a piece of like roses. There's a many reversals. So what I felt is in the first self, I convinced the philosophy is that whatever small reversal is coming, some difficulty is coming, then I accept is cool for me. So I'll not do peaceful. But Prabhupada is fighting like a warrior. So it is like that we should endeavor our best, our capability. Then we see it is not. Then we have to accept the reversal. And in the beginning, I philosophically I say, oh, this is the plan of the Lord. I'm like that. How this is like two extremism we can reconcile.
Two things. One thing is whether the reversal or the difficulty is personal or institutional, or is it for Krishna? That is the first question of consideration. So if it is personal, if I'm the only person who's affected, then yes. Then definitely I can accept this is Krishna's plan, this person is an instrument. And then, but again, we also said that, but still if I see that this person is doing some harm to me today, tomorrow he may harm some other Vaishnavas. So in that case also I need to report and I should do the needful. So, see, doing the needful is always required. That is always required. Whether it is personal, or whether it is something to do with the institution, something to do with Krishna's property. So one always has to do the needful. But in spite of doing that, when things go the wrong way, or not as I have expected, then one should learn to accept that yes, this is Krishna's plan. So yes, definitely we have to do the needful. But in spite of that, when things go against our wishes, against our plans, then one should be ready to accept. Rather than, in spite of that, trying to rectify, trying to fight, then it just creates a whole very nasty situation for oneself and for others. So, therefore, one should know where to draw the line and what are the limits. So one should try to understand all this. And of course, if things are difficult to understand, best is take guidance. Best is to take guidance. So of course, in the life of Srila Prabhupada, so many reversals. But Srila Prabhupada handled them perfectly. Because of course, Srila Prabhupada had direct inspiration from Paramatma, and so of course he knew exactly what to do. But we have to understand the principle. The principle we have to understand, and we should not immediately jump to blame the immediate cause of the problem. At least that much we must avoid, because that's the usual tendency. Reactive behavior, that's the usual tendency. He is the cause of the problem. That's the usual tendency. But we must hold that reactive response and try to be a little more thoughtful. and think twice before responding. Then there can be much better behavior, much better relationships, and less of heartbreaking, less of sharp words, breaking others' hearts. All this can be avoided. You have to do the needful, but in the proper way. Again. Yes, Vishnu Prabhu, you had something?
Example of bull. There in that section, Papa writes, or in the Sukdev Goswami mentioned that the perpetrator of
the one who points out to the perpetrator of the crime gets the same result as the perpetrator of the crime.
How to understand this, Prabhuji?
Because both are wrong. So somebody has done a crime and somebody points out that this is the cause, he's the cause, he's the cause. So okay, somebody has done the crime, he's going to get some punishment for that. But if I point out that he is the cause of the crime, not understanding that there is some other cause, then I'm wrong in blaming this person. So therefore I also get a reaction for blaming this person, who's not the actual cause of the crime. That's another thing. Well, that's not said. That's not said. Whether same reaction, how much reaction, those details are not said. But the point is that if I'm wrongly blaming someone, then I'm also guilty for wrongly blaming. So I also have to get some reaction. The immediate cause. So I'm unnecessarily blaming someone, then I'm doing something wrong. Even I have to get punishment for that.
This is a lack of faith in God.
Yes.
The actions are wrong.
Yes. Yes.
The storyline of a woman blaming the king who is distributing milk to everyone. The snake, one bird has taken the snake and
When king thought, let me have feast, he decided to have feast for all brahmanas. And the cooking was done, and the snake was going on top. The eagle was going, and he thrown the snake. Now, and everybody died. Now the Yamraj was thinking, who will get the blame? Who will get the reaction? Is the king, but he was not knowing. The cooks, but they were also not knowing. Is the crow, they were not knowing. But when woman was going, and he was telling, the king has killed so many brahmanas and all this. So then Yamraj thought she will get the reaction. So blaming him.
For unnecessarily blaming the king. Right. So, understand the principle.
It is told that ignorance, somebody is seeing wrong thing and he is not reporting or not taking action. He is also in ignorance. So, फिर इसको कैसे समझे कि भाई अभी मैं तो अथॉरिटी नहीं हूँ किसी चीज़ का, बट मैं गलत देख रहा हूँ और एट द सेम टाइम मुझे पॉइंट भी नहीं करना है उस चीज़ को, किसी को ब्लेम भी नहीं करना है. तो फिर ऐसा बोला जाता है कि somebody is seeing ignorance but he is not pointing out the ignorance, then he is also.
देखिए अभी प्रैक्टिकली क्या है, कोई व्यक्ति कुछ गलत कर रहा है, मैं जानता हूँ कि इसके वजह से खुद को भी नुकसान है, दूसरों को भी नुकसान है, तो मुझे क्या करना चाहिए? रिपोर्ट करना चाहिए इन अ डिटैच्ड वे. अभी वो क्या, उसका क्या एक्शन लेंगे, क्या नहीं लेंगे, छोड़ दो, वो उनको देखने दो. ऐसा नहीं कि बार बार फॉलो अप करना, अरे एक्शन लिया कि नहीं, अरे कितने दिनों. Report, finished. I've done my duty, that's all. अगर हमें लगता है कि इम्पोर्टेंट है रिपोर्ट करना, तो रिपोर्ट करना चाहिए. अगर हमें लगता है उतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं रिपोर्ट करना, anyways they'll come to know, फिर ठीक है. So that's how one has to work in this world. So therefore, as we saw in the previously, Brahma is saying that he's telling the Brahmanas who are trying to kill Indra, he's telling them, this is not your duty. This is not your business to kill Indra. So you should know what is your duty, what are the limits of your duty, you stick to that. So Indra is on a much higher position as the king of the Devatas. You have no right to punish him. If he is doing something wrong, then some higher authority has to deal with him, not a lower person. That's what Brahmaji is telling. So Indra is on a very high position. So therefore, he is telling the Brahmanas, it's not your duty to punish him. It's not your duty. So everyone has to know, what is my duty? What are my limitations? Everyone has to know and act accordingly. ऐसा नहीं कि जहाँ पर भी गलती दिख जाए, everything is my duty only. तो फिर क्या है? कलेर दोष निधे राजन. फिर हर जगह गलती ही दिखेगा फिर. But one has to know, is this my business? Is this my duty? How much is my duty? One has to understand. And so, whatever is one's duty, stick to that duty and be detached. Let everyone do their respective duties. Okay, clear this point? So this is how one has to deal with these situations, and always try to think of the philosophy that is there in the Shastra. Think of the proper ways of acting, the proper ways of conduct. All these are very important. Otherwise, we are harming ourselves. खुद को ही नुकसान है. If we don't act properly, खुद को ही नुकसान है, दूसरों को नहीं. We have to remember this. So therefore, if we have doubts as to what is the proper course of action, better consult and act accordingly. ठीक है? Okay. So now Brahma goes on with some more philosophy. 35. Kraturviramatameša deveshu durvagraha dharma vyatikaro yatra pakanderindra nirmite. Lord Brahma continued, stop the performance of these sacrifices, for they've induced Indra to introduce so many irreligious aspects. You should know very well that even amongst the demigods there are many unwanted desires. So Lord Brahma is trying to tell Prithu Maharaj, see the consequence. क्या हो रहा है देखो इसके वजह से. So sometimes we may not notice what are the consequences that are going to happen because of this action. तो उसके बारे में सोचना चाहिए. So one must understand what will be the consequences if this action is done. So Lord Brahma is telling Prithu Maharaj, more irreligious systems will be introduced if you try to stop Indra. And so he is bringing Prithu Maharaj to the reality. Don't be surprised with Indra's behavior. Don't be surprised. तो कभी वो लगता है ना, ऐसा इतना बड़ा व्यक्ति ऐसे कैसे कर सकता है? Oh, relax. It's possible because everyone is in the material world. So that's what Brahmaji is telling. No, okay, Indra, but still, what to do? He's in the material world. He still has material desires. The Devatas have it. So, as Prabhupada writes, there are many competitors in ordinary business affairs, and the Karmakanda chapters of the Vedas sometimes cause competition and envy amongst the karmis. A karmi must be envious. Must be envious. Why? Because he wishes to enjoy material pleasures to the fullest extent. That is a material disease. So everyone wants to enjoy to the fullest extent. Resources are limited and everyone wants to enjoy. So obviously there will be competition. Consequently, there is always competition amongst karmis, either in ordinary business affairs or in the performance of yajna. Lord Brahma's purpose was to end the competition between Lord Indra and Maharaj Prithu. दोनों के बीच में कंपटीशन चल रहा है तो क्या करना पड़ेगा? एक को हटना पड़ेगा ना. एक हट जाएगा, कंपटीशन खत्म. Both want to achieve one thing, then there is competition. एक हट जाएगा तो no competition. Okay, you take it and be happy. It's injustice according to your vision, not according to Brahma's vision. हाँ, अभी वही सीखना है. अभी ये सब डिस्कशन किसके लिए? उसी के लिए वही सीखना है. हाँ, so that is what you and I would have said that. हाँ, अरे गलती मैंने जोड़ी, ये इंद्र ये बदमाश है. हाँ, तो ये सब हमारा जस्टिफिकेशन है. हाँ, तो हम ऐसे ही जस्टिफाई करते हैं. लेकिन the person on top is seeing the higher picture, the bigger picture. What will be the consequences? So that is why he is explaining. So now the point is, Indra cannot be rectified. अभी आगे ब्रह्मा जी बताएंगे. Indra cannot be rectified. So then to bring about peace, then somebody has to take the back step, na? नहीं तो झगड़ा चलता रहेगा. And that will be dangerous for everyone. So therefore somebody who is reasonable, he has to withdraw from the competition. Then the matter will be settled. That's what Brahmaji is saying. Don't be surprised. Okay, Indra has material desires, what to do? He's not going to change.
They can kill now, but you can kill and put another Indra.
अरे भाई, किसी को मारना इतना आसान है क्या? अरे ब्राह्मण होने से क्या है? कोई भी मार सकता है क्या? किसके पास तलवार है कोई मार सकता है क्या? बंदूक है, मार सकता है क्या? No, that is what Brahmanas have power, but can they use it indiscriminately? लेकिन वो डिसाइड कौन करने वाला है? No, but he is also not ultimate king. Everyone has authority over him. What? That is why authority has come, no? That is why authority has come to settle the matter. Just because I can kill someone, I cannot kill. अगर मैं सोचता हूं अरे ये व्यक्ति गलत है, उड़ा दो इसको, चलेगा क्या? मैं सोच सकता हूं ये व्यक्ति गलत है, गलत हो भी सकता है, but do I have the authority to kill? So even after somebody is accused as a murderer, क्या तुरंत उसको सजा दिया जाता है क्या? क्या होता है? और इंडिया में तो पता है कितने सालों के लिए ट्रायल चलता है. Even though it is like almost 99% confirmed that this fellow is a murderer, still कितने साल ट्रायल चलता है? कम 20-30 साल भी ट्रायल चलता है, फिर उसके बाद निर्णय लिया जाता है. You know, I don't know how many of you know, but there was a famous case, Nirbhay case. I don't know if you know. Delhi में. Famous case of rape and murder case. The whole country was agitated. 2012. This lady named as Nirbhay. It became a famous case. The whole country was agitated. But those people who were accused, they were hanged very recently, maybe 1 year back or something like that. So how many years? Even though that was like express case, it was like an emergency. But even such an emergency case, it took how many years? Practically 10, 12 years. About 12 years, 12, 13 years it took. Even though that was like top priority. So the point is, one cannot take law into one's hand. One cannot take. So if one takes law in one's own hand, then one will be accused of going against the law. One can't do that. तो इसलिए हम बता रहे हैं कि one has to understand मेरा अधिकार कितना है वो जानना चाहिए. हाँ, बोलने के लिए, कुछ करने के लिए मेरा अधिकार कितना है, क्या मैं कर सकता हूँ, क्या मैं नहीं कर सकता हूँ, सब पता होना चाहिए. ऐसा नहीं कि आई थिंक दिस पर्सन इज द अक्यूज्ड, ठीक है. अरे भाई, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू. Even though I may see it, even though I may say this person is 100% accused, do I have the authority to take action? You are an illusion. Just because higher authority is not taking action, I have no right to take action. It is not my business. You still have to tolerate. If that is what is necessary, you have to accept it. See, you are not trying to understand the point. One has to understand what is within my jurisdiction, what can I do and what I cannot do. So even though I may be harassed by someone, and if some higher powers are not taking action, what should I think? Yes, I have to accept it as Krishna's plan. I cannot take law into my hands. If I take law into my hands, I'll be accused for it. I will land in big trouble. I cannot take law into my hands. Even though somebody is almost confirmed as a culprit, I cannot take law into my hands. This is even material law, right? Even material law. I cannot take law into my hands. तो वो कोर्ट से जाना ही पड़ता है ना. It has to be registered in the court. Trial has to go on. There have to be witnesses. The accused has to be proved. Then they can take action. I cannot take law into my hands. It applies anywhere. So it appears the same law applies within our society also. This law applies anywhere. I cannot take law into my hands. So if I feel that somebody is doing wrong, I can only report to the appropriate authorities. I cannot do anything on my own. तो ऐसा नहीं कि अरे ये व्यक्ति गलती कर रहा है मुझसे, ठीक है, मार दो, पिटाई करो, नहीं चलेगा. So क्षत्रिय ब्राह्मण जो भी है, law is law. So otherwise it's going to create very nasty atmosphere and nasty reactions if one doesn't understand these basic things. I'm just giving an example, just like the whole Bihar episode, the Patna episode. That is the problem. Taking law into one's hands. That's what happens. Then it becomes very nasty. Then everyone is in trouble. The whole society is in trouble. Whatever it is, one has to accept. One cannot take law into one's own hands. You remember this point. You want to be peaceful, you remember this point. Is this point clear? At the end of this whole discussion, at least this one point should be clear. Ah. That is what Brahmaji is trying to tell. You cannot decide who is wrong and who is right. Even though you know it, you cannot take action unless it is sanctioned. This is law. I cannot act whimsically. If I act whimsically, I have to face reaction for whimsical behavior. So I have to go through the proper channel and do things appropriately. ऐसा नहीं कि बस जो मन में आता है बस करो. हाँ, कृष्ण का प्लान. हाँ, मैं इतना बड़ा महाभागवत बन गया, कृष्ण का प्लान जानता हूँ. हाँ, जो महाभागवत है, महाभागवत कह रहे कि वो नहीं समझ सकते कृष्ण का प्लान क्या है, और मैं इतना बड़ा महाभागवत बन गया. So, the whimsical, rebellious tendencies are very deep-rooted in the conditioned soul. Because that is why we are here in the material world. फिर भक्ति में आने के बाद भी वही चालू होता है. But result will be disastrous. Please remember that. If we try to do things whimsically. We have to follow the proper authority, proper course of action. And if nothing is happening, that is what Brahma is saying. If nothing is happening, I think it is injustice. Bas, accept it. This is Daiva. This is my destiny. Accept it and tolerate. Then one will be peaceful and one will be purified. Okay. क्या? हाँ, हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ. Okay, आगे. Okay, so see what Prabhupada is writing ahead. Because Maharaj Prithu was a great devotee and incarnation of God, he was requested to stop the sacrifices. Because what? He is a great devotee. समझदार आदमी है ना? समझदार आदमी है. So he's saying, at least you stop. Don't continue the competition. He was requested to stop the sacrifice so that Indra might not further introduce irreligious systems which are always followed by criminal-minded people. ठीक है. 36. एबीरिन्द्रोपसंसृष्टे पाखण्डेर्हारिभिर्जनं रियमानं विचक्ष्वेनं यस्ते यज्ञदृकश्वमुत्. Just see how Indra, the king of heaven, was creating a disturbance in the midst of the sacrifice by stealing the sacrificial horse. These attractive sinful activities he has introduced will be carried out by the people in general. Prabhupada yad yadacharati shreshtas. So Prabhupada is writing, second paragraph, for his own sense gratification, King Indra thought to defeat Maharaj Prithu in the performance of 100 horse sacrifices and consequently stole them. Then he's speaking about Lord Buddha. And then Prabhupada writes how all these sacrifices are not possible in the Kali Yuga. In Kali Yuga there is only one sacrifice, and that is Sankirtan Yajna. Okay, now almost towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada is writing an interesting point. In Kali Yuga, men all over the world are very expert in opening slaughterhouses for killing animals which they eat. If the old ritualistic ceremonies were observed, people would be encouraged to kill more and more animals. That means, according to the Vedic rituals. In Calcutta, there are many butcher shops which keep a deity of the goddess Kali. And animal eaters think it proper to purchase animal flesh from such shops in hope that they are eating the remnants of food offered to goddess Kali. They do not know that goddess Kali never accepts non-vegetarian food because she is the chaste wife of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is also a great Vaishnava and never eats non-vegetarian food. And goddess Kali accepts the remnants of food left by Lord Shiva. Therefore, there is no possibility of her eating flesh or fish. Such offerings are accepted by associates of goddess Kali, such as bhutas, pishachas, and rakshasas, and those who take prasad of goddess Kali in the shape of flesh or fish are not actually eating prasad left by goddess Kali, but the food left by bhutas and pishachas. So it is not Shiv Prasad, it is Bhut Prasad. Very clearly Prabhupada is explaining. They will not accept. And therefore, in another place, I think it comes in the 4th canto only somewhere, where Srila Prabhupada has written very clearly, devotees should never accept prasad at demigod temples. Very clear instruction. Why? Because Devatas never accept. Because they are Vaishnavas. They will accept only Krishna Prasad. So all these materialistic people come with all their materialistic desires and offer this, that, they will not accept. So it is not even that Devta's Prasad. Right? So and here also Prabhupada is very clearly explaining this. So one is only getting what? Bhut Prasad. So therefore one should never accept all these things. Okay. 37. Bhavan paritratum ihavati no dharmam jananam samayanurupam vena pachara davaluptamadya taddehato vishnu kalasi vainya. O King Prithu, son of Vena, you are the part and parcel expansion of Lord Vishnu. Due to the mischievous activities of King Vena, religious principles were almost lost. At the opportune moment, you descended as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Indeed, for the protection of religious principles, you have appeared from the body of King Vena. Okay, so Brahma is trying to tell Prithu Maharaj, you have appeared for protection of religious principles, and now what is happening? Now irreligion is spreading because of this. So the very purpose of your descent is being nullified. So therefore, don't try to spread irreligion. Prabhupada is talking about Paritrana Sadhana. And then he's explaining how Lord Vishnu carries club and chakra to kill demons. And then in 2 hands he has conch shell and lotus to give protection to devotees. Now in the next paragraph he writes about Shaktavesh Avatar. Any living being acting as the incarnation of Lord Vishnu is thus empowered by Lord Vishnu to preach the Bhakti cult. Such a person can act like Lord Vishnu and defeat demons by arguments and preach the Bhakti cult exactly according to the principles of Shastra. Krishna Shakti Vina Nahi Tara Pravartan. One cannot explain the glories of the holy name of the Lord without being specifically empowered by Him. If one criticizes or finds faults with such an empowered personality, one is to be considered an offender against Lord Vishnu and is punishable. Even though such offenders may dress as Vaishnavas with false tilak and mala, they are never forgiven by the Lord if they offend a pure Vaishnava. There are many instances of this in the Shastras. 38. Satvam vimrishyasya bhavam prajapate sankalpanam vishvasrijam pipri endrim chamayam upadharma mataram prachanda bhakhanda patham prabhojahi. O protector of the people in general, please consider the purpose of your being incarnated by Lord Vishnu. The irreligious principles created by Indra are but mothers of so many unwanted religions. Please therefore stop these imitations immediately. That's what he's saying. You have come to increase dharma, religious principles. And what is happening now? So much of adharma. So therefore, stop. So Prabhupada says, in other words, it is a duty of the state or king to put a stop to pseudo-religious systems produced by unscrupulous persons. And therefore, Lord Brahma requested Prithu Maharaj to desist from his unnecessary competition with Indra, who was determined to stop Prithu Maharaj from completing 100 yajnas. Instead of creating adverse reactions, it was better for Maharaj Prithu to stop the yajnas in the interest of his original purpose as an incarnation. This purpose was to establish good government and set things in the right order. So that was the end of Brahma's instructions to Prithu Maharaj. Now what was Prithu Maharaj's response? Let's read. Maitreya uvacha idam saloka guruna samadishto vishampati tata chakritma vatsalyam magho napi cha sandade. The great sage Maitreya continued, when King Prithu was thus advised by the supreme teacher Lord Brahma, he abandoned his eagerness to perform yajnas and with great affection concluded a peace with King Indra. Vatsalyam, Vatsalyam. With great affection, he concluded peace. So you see, after Brahma gave his instruction and the philosophical explanation for the instruction, you see, is there any even one verse of Prithu Maharaj saying anything? There's not even one verse. देखिए ना, अभी ब्रह्मा जी का हो गया ना, पिछले श्लोक में 38 में हो गया ब्रह्मा जी का लेक्चर. अभी देखिए, there is not one verse that Prithu Maharaj, अरे कुछ तो बोला, ऐसा क्यों वैसा क्यों, ठीक है मान लेता हूँ लेकिन लगता है ये अन्याय है. Not one word, not one word. Not so easy. So, but you can see immediately, Brahma may have spoken, how many? Some 10 verses, some 10, 12 verses he spoke. And immediately, what? Vatsalyam, with great affection. ऐसा नहीं कि अंदर पूरा जल रहा है. ठीक है, अभी क्या है, ब्रह्मा जी ने बोल दिया, ठीक है मान लेता हूँ, ठीक है. Not like that. With great affection. That means he totally realized and accepted Brahmaji's words. Not superficially, but he actually wholeheartedly accepted, and with great affection, conflict resolved. अभी सब conflicts ऐसे resolve हो जाते तो कितना आसान है ना. तो फिर कुछ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रेजोल्यूशन के लिए अलग सा डिपार्टमेंट, ये वो कुछ जरूरत है. कितना आसान है, बस कोई ऊपर का अथॉरिटी आकर बताता है, बस ये करो ये करो. हरे कृष्ण. यस यस. खुद स्वीकार नहीं करेगा. Don't get into the blame game. You land in trouble. So the great sage Maitrikanya, when King Prithu was thus advised by the supreme teacher Lord Brahma, he abandoned his eagerness to perform yajnas and with great affection concluded a peace with King Indra. 40. Kritavabhrita snanaya pritave bhuri karmane varandaduste varada yetad bharishitarpita. After this, Prithu Maharaj took his bath, which is customary taken after the performance of a yajna, and received the benedictions and due blessings of the demigods, who were very pleased by his glorious activities. So yajna didn't take place, but still the demigods were pleased. Why? Yes, Vishnu is pleased, and as at least Srila Prabhupada is translating, they were pleased by his glorious activities. They were pleased by his behavior. Okay, 41. With great respect, the original King Prithu offered all kinds of rewards to the Brahmanas present at the sacrifice. Since all these Brahmanas were very much satisfied, they gave their heartfelt blessings to the king. Okay, so Brahmanas also gave blessings. Text 42. All the great sages and Brahmanas said, O mighty king, by your invitation, all class of living entities have attended this assembly. They have come from Pitraloka and the heavenly planets, and great sages as well as common men have attended this meeting. Now all of them are very much satisfied by your dealings and your charity towards them. Thus, in the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 19th chapter, the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled King Prithu's 100 Horse Sacrifices. Chapter 20. Lord Vishnu's appearance at the arena of sacrifice. ठीक है, आप लोग पढ़ो अभी.
मैत्रेय उवाच भगवानपि वैकुण्ठ साक्षात् मागुतसभा यज्ञैर्यज्ञपतिस्तुष्टो यज्ञे भूपतम् अभष्टदम्. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidur, being very much satisfied by the performance of 99 horse sacrifices, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, appeared on the scene. Accompanying him was King Indra. Lord Vishnu then began to speak.
Okay, so here Lord Vishnu appeared. Why? Because he is satisfied by the performance of 99 sacrifices. So even though he finished only 99, but still Lord Vishnu was satisfied. Yajnapati was satisfied. Yajnapati, Yajnabuk. So now Lord Vishnu has personally come. So now what he is saying, let's hear. Now these are some very important instructions which Lord Vishnu gives. So much to learn from these instructions. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Eshate Karshid Bhangam Haya Medha Shatasyaha Kshama Payata Atmanam Amushya Kshantum Arhasi. Lord Vishnu, Supreme Personality of God, said, My dear King Indra, my dear King Prithu, Indra, the King of Heaven, has disturbed your execution of 100 sacrifices. Now he has come with me to be forgiven by you. Therefore, excuse him. Okay? So he has come with me. And so, excuse him. Okay, let's go to the next. Third. Sudhiya sadhavo loke naradeva narottama nabhidruyanti bhutebhyo yarhi natma kalevaram. Translation, Buddha.
O King, one who is advanced in intelligence and eager to perform welfare activities for the others is considered best among human beings. An advanced human being is never malicious to others. Those with advanced intelligence are always conscious that this material body is different from the soul.
So now, Brahmaji, he gave instruction and he explained some philosophy. Now Lord Vishnu, he is also giving similar instruction and he is also explaining philosophy. So you see, both explain philosophy so that Prithu Maharaj is convinced. So Brahmaji also explained, now Lord Vishnu is also explaining. So what Lord Vishnu is saying? So Lord Vishnu is saying, the one who is Sudhiya Sadhava Loke. So one who is Sudhiya means what? Most intelligent. And he is Sadhava, he wants to perform welfare activities. So what he should do? Na abhidruyanti bhutebhya. He is never malicious, he is never envious of any other living entity. And so, why? Because na atma kalevaram. Why he is not envious? Because he never thinks the body to be the self. So envy is based on what? Yes, bodily concepts. Yes, it's based on bodily concept. We discussed this yesterday also. So only on the bodily concept one thinks, oh, he has something more, he has something less, I have something less, everything on bodily platform. So the envy is simply on the bodily platform. So therefore Lord Vishnu is saying that somebody who is intelligent, he is not on the bodily platform, therefore he does not become envious. And that's what Prabhupada writes. In daily life we find that when a madman commits murder, he is excused even by a high court judge. The idea is that a living entity is always pure because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he falls into the clutches of the material energy, he becomes a victim of the three modes of material nature. Right? So Srila Prabhupada very often he tells that incident in Calcutta when a person committed a murder and when he was taken to the court, he told the judge, Sir, when I committed the murder, I was somewhat mad. So then the judge calls the doctor examines, and the doctor says, well, it's true. The man was somewhat mad when he committed the murder. But then the doctor went on to say, in my opinion, almost everyone in this world is somewhat mad. And then Srila Prabhupada says, it's not that only we are saying, even a scientific person is saying that everyone is somewhat mad. And what is the madness due to? Bodily concepts. That is the madness. So the living entity is pure, but due to the influence of the three modes, he acts like a madman. And he commits wrong activities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5.14, so this is a whole section we discussed many times. Section from 13, 5th chapter, 13 to 16. Who is the doer? Na kartvatvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala sanyogam swabhavastu pravartate. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Now this last paragraph is very important. Actually, the living entity or soul does not do anything. Everything is done under the influence of the modes of material nature. When a man is diseased, the symptoms of the disease become a source of all kinds of pain. Those who are advanced in transcendental consciousness or Krishna consciousness are never envious, neither of the soul nor of the activities of the soul under the influence of material nature. Advanced transcendentalists are called Sudhiya. Sudhi means intelligence, Sudhi means highly advanced, and Sudhi means devotee. So that means what? Devotee should have intelligence and be highly advanced. Correct? One who is both devoted and highly advanced in intelligence does not take action against the soul or the body. If there is any discrepancy, he forgives. It is said that forgiveness is a quality of those who are advancing in spiritual knowledge. So the soul is pure. All activities are performed by whom? Yes, three modes. Three modes are doing everything. Swabhavastru pravartate. Swabhava means material nature. So material nature is forcing everyone to do so many things. So therefore, when a person does some wrong activity, who is causing that wrong activity to be done? Three modes. And three modes are also not independent. Who's controlling three modes? Supreme Lord. So when a person does wrong activity, who's responsible? Supreme Lord is responsible. So why blame the person? Yes, ultimately, of course, everything begins with desire, the desire of the jiva. But what the point that Lord Vishnu is trying to say here is that the soul is always pure. The soul is always pure. And so therefore, when a person does a wrong activity, he is somehow compelled. Of course, we do understand it is basically its desire, but he is compelled by the three modes. But the soul is originally pure. So if we have that understanding, then we will never hate the soul who has done some wrong activity. Okay, to give an example. Sometime in 74, 75, one of Srila Prabhupada's very early disciples, he sold one of our ISKCON temples and ran away with the money. So, nothing new. And if you want to go to Veda base, and you can see there is one very heated conversation that is taking place between Srila Prabhupada and Tamal Krishna Maharaj and that local GBC, And so, very heated talks is going on. It's very interesting, very spicy. If you want, you can go through it. But in any case, then what happened was that Srila Prabhupada was definitely upset. Prabhupada was definitely upset. Crazy fellow. Sold the temple and ran away with the money. And of course, he left Krishna consciousness, everything. Then Rameshwar Prabhu tells the rest of the story actually. So then Srila Prabhupada told Rameshwar Prabhu, go and find this devotee. So he was somewhere on the Hawaii Islands. So Prabhupada said, go and find him and give him a ticket to come and meet me in Vrindavan. So Rameshwar Prabhu, he tried searching for him, and after quite a long time of difficulty, because he was totally transformed. He was not in devotee dress or something like that. He was like a non-devotee, long hair, everything. So very difficult to find him. And so after some time, Rameshwar Prabhu managed to find him. And he gave him that flight ticket to go back to go to Vrindavan to meet Srila Prabhupada. Of course, that devotee was quite moved by Srila Prabhupada's kindness. Even though he did such a blunder, he was quite moved by Srila Prabhupada's kindness. And so in any case, he went to meet Srila Prabhupada. And then what happened, that is told by Shrutakirti Prabhu. So Shrutakirti Prabhu, he tells that how he was giving massage to Srila Prabhupada in the afternoon when this devotee came to meet him. And so Srila Prabhupada tried to speak to him, give him some good advice, inspire him to come to Krishna consciousness. But that person was just not in a mood to accept anything. He was totally lost because he had totally given up Krishna consciousness, everything. So he was totally lost. He just couldn't understand, he just couldn't take what Srila Prabhupada was speaking. And so Srila Prabhupada could understand that. So he spoke for some time, gave him some prasad and sent him out. So when he went away, then Shrutakirti Prabhu asked Srila Prabhupada, this person, he has cheated you, he has taken away the money, and he has left Krishna consciousness. Why are you still trying to preach to him and somehow bring him back to Krishna consciousness? Srila Prabhupada said, he is a rascal, but I still love him. He is a rascal, but I still love him. That one statement shows Srila Prabhupada's realization of what Lord Vishnu is speaking here. So he's a rascal because? Yes, because his activities are like that of a rascal. But he still loves him because? Yes, because he's spirit, soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And that's exactly what Lord Vishnu is trying to tell Prithu Maharaj. That yes, somebody who is sudhiya, who is intelligent, he does not see the body as the soul, but he clearly understands this is pure soul, this is body, influenced by three modes, therefore he is doing nonsense. And therefore, so one who is both devoted and highly advanced in intelligence does not take action against the soul or the body. If there's any discrepancy, he forgives because he understands that this is pure spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna. And therefore, he is ready to forgive because the soul can be rectified, purified. It is possible because it's not that the soul is eternally bad. The soul is originally good, pure. So therefore, even though the soul has become contaminated by three modes now, the soul can be purified of the influence of three modes. So therefore, one should not hate the soul. Therefore, one should be ready to forgive. One has to do the needful to help the person to become purified. But one should not hate the soul. One should not hate the person per se. And maybe it's coming in the next purport. Yes. In one of these purports, that statement comes: hate the sin, not the sinner. So, that is only possible when one differentiates between body and soul. So, when one can differentiate and realize that soul and body are different, then one can see that difference, and then one hates the sin, one hates the wrong activity, one does the needful to rectify the wrong activity of the person, but one does not hate the person. And that is what we clearly see in all the activities of Srila Prabhupada. So, and that's the reason why Srila Prabhupada, even though people gave up sannyas, so anyway, it just reminds me of this other incident. One of the very prominent, well-known leaders within our society was Madhudvish Swami. You heard of Madhudvish Swami? Madhudvish Swami. So he was a very prominent. You can see in videos, all the videos taken in Australia. You see all the video lectures in Australia. Whatever videos are there in Australia, you'll always find Madhudvish Maharaj. He was the GBC there, and Srila Prabhupada very much appreciated him for everything actually, especially his very wonderful kirtans and management. Everything Srila Prabhupada very much appreciated. And therefore, Harishwara Prabhu writes this in the Transcendental Diary, that so he had difficulties and then he wanted to give up his sannyas. He wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada. So when the letter came to Srila Prabhupada, Harishwara Prabhu was a servant, and so Harishwara Prabhu read the letter to Srila Prabhupada. And when Srila Prabhupada heard that one of his most prominent sannyasi leaders is having difficulty, Srila Prabhupada was visibly disappointed and upset. Because it was like a big setback for him. But even then, Srila Prabhupada, he heard the letter and he was disappointed. But then Srila Prabhupada's response was only one sentence. And Srila Prabhupada just said, "What to do? I'm dealing with 10th class men." That was Srila Prabhupada's response. Anyways, at that time, Srila Prabhupada was writing his purports to the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, Gajendra pastime. And those of you who read that, you may remember the very outstanding purport of Srila Prabhupada at the beginning of the Gajendra pastime. And so when Srila Prabhupada was writing that purport, this incident had taken place. So Harishwara Prabhu writes this. So keeping that incident in mind, Srila Prabhupada wrote that purport of how one must be situated in ashram where he is spiritually strong, mentally stable. Yes. So in any case, so then later on, so after Madhudvish Swami gave up his sannyas, he got married, became Grihastha. And then he came to meet Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. And when he came to meet Srila Prabhupada didn't show the least bit of anger. There was no anger, no chastisement, practically not even a mention. Why you gave up your sannyas? What nonsense. Nothing. So rather, the first question that Srila Prabhupada asked him was, "How is your wife?" That was the first question. And when he heard that, it was such a great relief for him. Because when he was coming to meet Srila Prabhupada, he was expecting Srila Prabhupada to be very angry and upset. He was expecting some chastisement and all that. But Srila Prabhupada, nothing. Nothing. He just, how's your wife? And some, curtsy remarks. That's all. Why? Because Srila Prabhupada appreciated the tremendous volumes of service that this devotee has done in the initial stages of the movement. So Srila Prabhupada appreciated that. And he understood that he gave sannyas at a young age, and so definitely the struggle is there. So he just told them to continue in the practice of Krishna consciousness, that's all. So only Srila Prabhupada could do this actually. Only Srila Prabhupada could do this. And why? Because Srila Prabhupada was on that highly realized platform, what Lord Vishnu is speaking here. Very clearly seeing the difference between body and soul, and seeing every soul as part and parcel of Krishna. Because Srila Prabhupada had that full realization of that philosophy, therefore Srila Prabhupada could act in that way. Otherwise, not possible. And that is what Lord Vishnu is saying. This, who is able to do this? Sudhiya sadhava loke. Only one who is Sudhiya. One who is Sudhiya. Prabhupada is given three meanings. What? Sudhi means intelligence, highly advanced, devotee. So Srila Prabhupada definitely had all those three qualifications. And so therefore he could perfectly act according to this verse. Fourth verse. Purusha yadi mohyanti twadrisha deva mayaya shrama eva param jato dirgaya vriddha sevaya. Read translation.
If a person like you, personality like you, who are so much advanced because of executing the instructions of the previous acharyas, is carried away by the influence of material energy, then all your advancement may be considered simply a waste of time.
So Lord Vishnu is saying, Purusha yadi muyanti twadrisha deva maya. Deva maya, Krishna's maya. Even though vriddha sevaya, dirgaya vriddha sevaya. So you are highly advanced because you have served the superiors. Of course, Prabhupada translates that as previous acharyas. So by serving the previous acharyas, you become very advanced. But still, if you are simply carried away by Deva Maya, by Maya, then all this advancement is what? Shrama eva. It is only useless labor. So the point is that if somebody has executed devotional service for a long time under the instructions of the acharyas, what is expected? There must be some change. There must be proper behavior based on the philosophy. That is what is expected. So if somebody says, I'm senior, since many years I have heard the philosophy, I've given so many lectures also, but if the behavior is not in accordance to the philosophy, then all his practices so far have been what? Shrama. Because the process did not act. So therefore, if one has practiced devotional service properly, then there must be some change. There must be some change in behavior. There must be a change in one's realizations. One must develop some higher realizations and act on that platform. That is what is expected. And that is what Lord Vishnu is saying. In this verse, the word Vriddha Seva is very significant. Vriddha means old, Seva means by service. Perfect knowledge is acquired from the acharyas who liberate souls. No one can be perfect in knowledge without being trained in the parampara system. Prithu Maharaj was completely trained in that line. Therefore, he did not deserve to be considered an ordinary man. An ordinary man whose only conception of bodily existence is always bewildered by the modes of material nature. So Prithu Maharaj was not expected, because he was Vriddha Sevaya, he was not expected to behave like an ordinary person in the bodily concept of life. So he was expected to behave in accordance to the proper knowledge, the proper understanding that one is not the body but spirit soul. Fifth verse. Ata kayam imam vidvan avidya kama karma bhi arabdha iti naivasmin prati buddho nushajjate. Pado?
Of the bodily conception of life, who knows that this body is composed of nuisance, desires and activities resulting from illusion, do not become addicted to the body.
So somebody who is vidwan, then he should act like a vidwan. So what is the definition of vidwan? Not some PhD. That is not vidwan. The real vidwan is what? Who knows difference between matter and spirit. Then is real vidwan. So that's what Vishnu is saying. You're supposed to be vidwan. You cannot act in this bodily concept. This is simply because of illusion, avidya kama karma bhi. Prabhupada talks about two types of activities. Being a creation of nations, the body has two types of activities. In the bodily conception, when we think that sense gratification will help us, we are in illusion. Another kind of illusion is to think that one will become happy by trying to satisfy the desires that arise from the illusory body, or by attaining elevation to a higher planetary system, performing various types of Vedic rituals. This is all illusion. Further down, Prabhupada writes, in other words, Lord Vishnu informed Prithu Maharaj that although sacrificial performances set an example for ordinary people, there was no need for such sacrificial performances as far as his personal self was concerned. Text 6. Asamsakta sharirasmin amunotpadite grihe apatye dravine vapi kakuryan mamatam buddha.
Person who has absolutely no affinity for the bodily conception of life be affected by the bodily conception in regard to house, children, wealth, and similar other bodily productions.
Right, so that's what Lord Vishnu is saying. If somebody is highly learned person, then he should be unattached to all these material things. How can he still be attached and still claim to be a learned person? 7. Eka Shuddha Swayam Jyoti Nirguno Saugunashrayah Sarvago Navrita Sakshi Niratmatmatmanah Paraha.
The individual soul is one, pure, non-material and self-effulgent. He is the reservoir of all good qualities and he is all-pervading. He is without material covering. He is the witness of all activities. He is completely distinguished from other living entities and he is transcendental to all embodied souls.
Prabhupada writes, according to Srila Vishnu Thakur, in this verse, Lord Vishnu is describing himself or the Paramatma. So basically, these, of course, we do understand Paramatma and Atma, the qualities are almost same, right? So therefore, all these qualities apply to soul also, super soul also. Shuddha, Swayam Jyoti, Nirguna. So all these are the qualities of the soul also. But here, of course, he is also saying he is Sakshi. He is a witness of all activities. So that obviously applies to Paramatma. But otherwise, the qualities are almost the same. So that's what Prabhupada writes in the purport, that the qualities of the living entities and the super soul are almost the same. Okay, text 8. Ya evam santam atmanam atmastham veda purusha najate prakritistopi tadgune samayi stitaha.
Although within the material nature, one who is thus situated in full knowledge of the Paramatma and Atma is never affected by the modes of material nature, for he is always situated in my transcendental loving service.
Okay, so somebody who understands about Atma and Paramatma, then he is never affected by the modes of material nature because he is situated on the transcendental platform. So as Prabhupada writes, when the Supreme Personality of God appears in this material world, he is not affected by the modes of material nature. Similarly, those are always connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though they be within the material body or the material world, are not affected by material qualities. Mam charina bhakti yogina sevate sagunan samadityetan. Text 9. Yasvadharmena mam nityam nirashi shraddhayanvitaha bhajate shanakestasya manorajan prasidati.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Vishnu continued, My dear King Prithu, when one is situated in his occupational duty, engages in my loving service without motive, for material gain, he gradually becomes very satisfied within.
So now Lord Vishnu is explaining how one can become very satisfied, prasidati. How one can become satisfied? Yasvadharmena mam nityam. One has to perform on swadharma. How one should perform? Nirashi shraddhayanvitaha. So without any motive and with faith and devotion, worshipping the Supreme Lord, if one performs one's prescribed duties in this way, then gradually what will happen? Gradually, shanakei. So this is an important instruction for all of us. So we perform our prescribed duties, but at the same time, without attachment to results. So without material attachment towards the results, we simply perform our duties with faith and devotion in the Supreme Lord. Then what will happen? Mano prasidati. Then the mind will become very satisfied. So similar like Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Yadokshaje Ahetuki Apratiyata Yayatma Suprasidati. So similar verse. So if one performs that type of devotional service, then one can become satisfied. So Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph, a Brahmana especially should execute his occupational duties not for material gain, but to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra should work in a similar way. And towards the end he says, regardless of one's occupational duty, one should adopt the devotional means of hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, offering everything to the Lord and engaging in His service. In this way, one can very easily engage himself in the service of the Lord. When the Lord is pleased with one's service, one's mission in life is fulfilled. 10. Parityakta guna samyak darshano vishadashayah shantim me samavasthanam brahma kevalyam ashnute.
When the heart is clean of all material contamination, the devotee's mind becomes broader and transparent, and he can see things equally. At that stage of life, there is peace, and one is situated equally with me as Satchidananda Vigraha.
Right, so in the previous verse, he spoke about performing one's occupational duties in a very devoted way for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord with detachment to the results. So if one works in that way, then what will happen? Then one will become purified. One will become Vishada Ashaya. So one will become free from all types of material desires, one will become purified, and when one becomes purified, the result will be what? Shantim Me Samavasthanam. So one will be able to see everything in proper perspective. One will be, as Prabhupada says, the devotee's mind becomes broader, transparent, he can see things equally. So one will have a proper perception of everything. That's how one can achieve peace. Prabhupada contracts Mayavad. The Mayavad conception of Kevalya and that of the Vaishnava community is different. The Mayavadi thinks that as soon as one is free from all material contamination, he is merged into the existence of the Supreme. The Vaishnava philosopher's conception of Kevalya is different. He understands both his position and the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the uncontaminated condition, the living entity understands that he is the eternal servitor of the Supreme, and that is called Brahman realization, the spiritual perfection of the living. So this is what should happen by the practice of devotional service without any motives. One should become purified, and one should be able to see everything in the proper perspective. So there must be a change in one's realization, in one's perceptions. These things need to change. That should be the result of practicing devotional service. 11. Udasinam ivadhyaksham dravyajnana kriyatmanam kutastam imamatmanam yo vedapnoti shobhanam.
Anyone who knows this material body made of the five gross elements, the sense organs, the working senses, and the mind is simply supervised by the fixed soul, is eligible to be liberated from material bondage.
Okay, so somebody who understands the difference between body and soul. The body is made up of the five gross elements and all that, but he is different from the soul. So one who understands this, he becomes eligible for liberation. As Prabhupada writes, one who has understood the fixed position of the soul should not be disturbed by the incoming and outgoing interactions of the modes of material nature in the form of happiness and distress. Towards the end, only one who constantly engages in devotional service 24 hours a day can be indifferent to the action and reaction of the external body. When a man is absorbed in a particular thought, he does not hear or see any external activities even though they are enacted in his presence. Similarly, those who are fully absorbed in devotional service do not care what is going on with the external body. That status is called samadhi. One who is actually situated in samadhi is understood to be a first-class yogi. Okay, fine. So now some very important instructions are coming. So therefore, we will conclude for today, and we will continue our discussions tomorrow. Okay. So rest of the chapter is also very important. And then, so tomorrow we'll start at 11 or 10:30? पूछेंगे तो वही है. Okay, so tomorrow we'll start at 11 and we'll see how it goes. If necessary, maybe the last 2 days we will increase. Okay? Because it will compensate for today evening, right? Right. So tomorrow we'll keep same timing. And if necessary, the other 2 days we will increase the time. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's take attendance. Advait Karna Prabhu is there, Akshavi Prabhu not there, Bhamay Nityanand Prabhu, Chaitanya Jeevan Prabhu, Chaitanya Swarup Prabhu.